to Momentum in Real Estate, your guide to success in the dynamic world of real estate. I'm Corey Wolf.
And I'm Kristen James. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, we're here to help you reach new heights.
Success in real estate comes from learning, growing, and serving others.
Join us as we dive into strategies for lead generation, marketing, market trends, and client relationships.
Get ready to ignite your momentum and achieve your goals in real estate.
Let's dive in and unlock your full potential.
This is Momentum in Real Estate.
We have a special guest with us today. Rebecca Knaster is a real estate powerhouse who's been selling New York City properties since 1997 with multi-million-dollar success at top brokerages. A native New Yorker with a background in fashion, marketing, and advertising sales, she brings a creative edge to every transaction. Her deep knowledge of Manhattan's diverse neighborhoods makes her a go-to expert for buyers and sellers alike. Known for her sharp negotiation skills, marketing savvy, and personalized approach, Rebecca makes the real estate process seamless. When she's not closing deals, you'll find her skiing, biking, hiking, or spending time with her rescue Cocker Spaniels. Welcome to the Momentum in Real Estate podcast.
Hi, great to be here.
Yay, thank you so much, Rebecca. So your first question is, what is your real estate story in your own words?
My real estate story is a funny story. I was in the fashion business, and from there, I segued around a little bit. And then I was working for, it's funny how things come to fruition, but the building that I'm working in right now, I'm working for Compass, is the same building that I was working in when I had enough and I said goodbye to corporate America. Isn't that funny?
That's funny.
So I decided I had enough of corporate America. I had a horrible boss and I wanted out. So And I was in a position, thankfully, that I could just take my time and decide what I wanted to do. So this is funny. I had a rescue dog at the time. I'm now on the fourth dog. It's been 30 years. Anyway, I used to groom the dog myself. I just would cut him, give my haircut. And people stopped me all the time. So people said to me, who grooms your dog? And I say, I do. So I'm a very practical person. I said, gee, if I'm doing such a good job with that experience, imagine if I had experience. I went to dog grooming school for 6 weeks and became a certified dog groomer. My own dog grooming shop. And then a friend of mine who'd been a broker for many years, she said to me, why don't you sell real estate? You'd be great. I looked and I said, to sell real estate? I don't know anybody who has money, and I don't know anybody who wants to buy an apartment. So I went to real estate school for 6 weeks, and I said, real estate, dog grooming. I went back and forth. I couldn't make a decision. And finally, I said, you know what? I'm going to do real estate. And I've never looked back since then. I had my first deal probably 2 months after I started, which is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
And what were the interest rates in 1997?
Oh, God, who remembers? I don't remember.
I was just curious. I was like, were they 13, 15, 18%?
Not like that. They were high. Maybe they were 9, 10%.
Right. That's what I'm thinking, around 10% maybe.
Who remembers? But I remember in the 70s when they were 14.5%. So, what can I tell you? The world caved in 2008, and so did interest rates, and people can't get over it.
Yeah.
Well,
that would be an interesting part of our conversation, is to talk to you about what that transition was like. Obviously it impacted so many industries, but real estate, it was influenced a lot. So that would be an interesting conversation. But I'm curious, give us a little history of your kind of brokerage experience. You mentioned you're with Compass now. Where have you been previously?
I started off, what did I know? I didn't know anything, to tell you the truth. And so in those days, everybody looked at the New York Times Classified. It's history. So I went in there, looked in the New York Times Classified, and I saw there was a brokerage firm that was looking for brokers. I didn't know one broker. So I went to that brokerage firm and they hired me. They are no longer in business. They were out a long time. But I will tell you, many of the big brokers that have been around for a while, like me, cut their teeth there. I remember I remember sitting next to so-and-so one who's a huge broker. I remember, it was amazing. And so that's where I started, in this little firm. And there are people that I still know that are still in the business 30 years later. They're not the youngsters in the business, that's for sure. So from there, I went to another firm, a big one. And that other firm didn't want to give me back my license. So it took a while. I got my license and I went to the other firm. And there's no point naming names, but it's a big one. And I was there for a while. And then the manager, who everybody loved, left and went to another big firm. And we all followed him, 70 of us. He was there for about a year. It just wasn't working out. So he left and went back to his old firm. But at that time, I think only 6 brokers followed him. I stayed at that other firm for 13 and a half years. They promoted me to senior vice president. We don't have titles like that anymore because they're really illegal. They mean nothing.
Right.
So I was there, and then I left for, again, personal reasons. And I went to work for a firm that only had one office in Manhattan, but was well known in Westchester, Connecticut, Massachusetts. And I got to tell you something. What I learned is it doesn't matter where you work. All they need to do is remember your name.
That's right.
They remembered my name because I made a boatload of money there. Boatload. And then Compass came calling once. They came calling twice. And they came calling a third time. And the third time they made it very palatable. And I said, yes. I think
Good for you.
Compass is, and I will tell you, not because I can only say it because I work there now. I think Compass is a great firm. I think that Robert Refkin is a fabulous owner. He really cares about his brokers. And while it's very competitive, and I was the star of all stars at the other place, I truly love the culture at Compass. I do. I love the culture there. That's the whole thing. Do I like the technology? No. Remember
Interesting.
when I started in this business, you came in on Monday morning and you called the Fizbos from the New York Times.
Oh, how times have changed.
And most people didn't even have a cell phone yet.
I love it.
That's so awesome.
Dinosaur.
No, you can't say that till you're like 95.
Well, this is what I say in the office. Thank God I'm young at heart. I'm actually leaving the following week to go skiing in Alaska. So I am young at heart.
Oh,
You are. That's incredible. Good for you.
Oh, yeah. Listen, I was on a safari in September through Africa. And then in June, I was biking for 10 days in the Baltics. Yeah. I'll keep on going till I can't.
That's
love
amazing.
it. A body in motion stays in motion. I love it.
For this, I was playing pickleball.
Oh, that is so great.
Oh, Rebecca, I need your energy.
Yet? So,
Well,
anyway, so what I was going to say is the only thing that I hate is the technology, but they have people to help you there.
yeah, exactly. Well, I wonder, just kind of playing off of that, like, so you've been a top producing agent at multiple firms. What habits, strategies, mindset, like what has contributed to your success, not only in those previous brokerages, but today? Obviously, you have to adapt to a different culture, different environment, different tools. What are some things that you would draw on that kind of point to your ability to be successful?
You know, everybody has a different view of success. Everybody works in different directions. And I'm really, I'm one of those. I don't try to compete with other people. I'm just not a competitive person. And a lot of the sports I do really are solo sports for that reason. Because I'm a big biker, I'm a skier. You don't need to be with someone to do that. You don't need to compete. I never sit down. It's a funny thing. I don't sit down and map out my goals for the following year. Well, let me just pull you up. So, are you there? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't map out my goals for the following. I just do the best I possibly can. But I'll tell you, last year was a terrible year. And Robert Refkin was on TV, and he said that 2024 was the worst year in, 24 years or something. And it was the worst year in real estate for me. But what am I going to do? Cry in my soup? You just pull your pants up and you say you're going to do better next year.
That's right.
That's it. I don't beat myself up. But other people work different ways. I don't try to compete against somebody else. And what I did, I'm fortunate, is I live in a very big building. I live in a high-rise co-op. And I decided that I wanted to make this building my building. And it took me a while, but I made it my building. And I'll tell you my claim to fame. I once had 7 board approvals in one night. That's incredible. But, other brokers have sort of segued in here. They come with the buyer comes with a broker and they use them later on. So I don't have that kind of a hold. But where do I do my business? In the elevator cab, in the lobby, in front of the building, on the corner.
on the corner.
Well, what?
Not that corner, Corey.
The thing is that, you can do as much social media as you want. You can send out as many postcards as you want, but nothing works like one-on-one. Many times I'm late because I'm standing there BSing in the elevator, BSing in the lobby. But people, hopefully when it comes time to sell, they're going to come to me because they know me personally, not a post.
Well, you're speaking our love language because Corey and I have built very relational businesses, and we built it around our friends and our network and our sphere. And we do events, we do big and small, but we strive to always be in conversation with people. And
yeah, I did. Listen, I didn't do it this year, but last year I had 2 different cocktail parties in my apartment over the holidays. Why did I have to have 2? Because one of the people I was inviting, the other people didn't like her. So I made 2 of them so I can invite the other one to the other one.
perfect.
So I did that last year. I haven't done anything this year. I'll see. But, the other night I got together with 3 of the other gals in the building. So everybody runs their business differently. I also have a dog. Bless him. Not this one. He hasn't paid for anything yet. But one hasn't. But the other one got me 2 big deals.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Leverage everything you have, even your dogs.
My dog sits on the beach all summer long. He is the mayor of that beach, and everybody knows him. And people know me. So sometimes I wind up I'll get a deal there. Who cares? But it's the fact that I have a relationship. This is a relationship building business. And I don't think I really believe that a lot of these young brokers just don't understand it.
Yep.
Well, there's so much that comes at us, in terms of, you could listen to 12 different experts, and it's everything from, just like you were talking about. Well, you need to have the social media game, working, and you got to have your postcard and your direct mail campaign working, and you got to have this and you got to have that. And at the end of the day, like you said, what works is what you will work. So pick something and invest in it and build relationships around it, and it works.
Look, you know what? When I worked for another firm, the owner of the company said, if you send out 1 or 2 postcards a month for a year, I guarantee you'll get business. Did anybody ever call you? Because they didn't call me. I send out, I really am a great marketer. I send out fabulous. I don't send out postcards saying I'm great and call me, because everybody, who cares? I sent out postcards like, my 10 top secrets for getting more money, the best things how to declutter. I sent out value-added postcards. It didn't do anything. But I made an effort.
Well, and some of those things are truly hard to track. It's more like this environmental, these elements around your core business that, it's hard to measure the impact. But anything that you do, you have to commit to it for a definite season, and not just be like, well, I did it for 2 months and it didn't work.
Well, I did social media for like 9 months, and I took a break, and all I heard from my friends is, "Oh, you look great. I love your hair."
Well, that's validating.
I know, but they're not giving me any business.
Right, exactly. It doesn't pay the bills.
No, so I may go back to it. I'm not sure. But the other thing we're talking about, when I did this whole big marketing campaign with these postcards, you don't expect someone to call you immediately. But maybe 5 years later, they held your card. And no one called me 5 years later.
Yeah.
So true. I'm curious how being a native New Yorker has given you an edge on navigating the complexities of the Manhattan real estate market.
Well, first of all, I will tell you that I am a co-op broker. And that means co-op. I don't know if you know the difference between a condo.
No, tell us more, because obviously New York City real estate is really different from most other parts of the US.
What was created in New York was home ownership in Manhattan. I'm talking about. I only do Manhattan. And they were called cooperatives. So you didn't own your apartment. You owned shares in the apartment. So I own 899 shares in my apartment. So in a co-op, because you own the shares and you don't own the apartment outright, you have to be interviewed by a board of directors who has to find you whether they feel that you are. The big deal is, Are you financially acceptable to the terms of that building? Best way of putting it.
So it's a corporation that owns the building?
Yes. Yes, a corporation. So initially what happened was we only had co-ops. And the first condo and I don't know the history, but supposedly the first condo was built in 1961. And before that they were not allowed. That's what I'd heard. I never really checked. So with a condo, you own the apartment outright. And there's something called right of first refusal. If the building refuses your buyer, the building is then forced to purchase the apartment from you. So, but with the freedom comes the price. Condos or condominiums, as they're called, are between 10 and 15% higher usually, because you also, since you own the apartment, you can do whatever you want with it. If you want, you can sublet it. You can buy it for investment. In a co-op, in a cooperative, you have to abide by the house rules.
Sure.
But most buildings do not. Most buildings have subletting rules, which means every 2 to 4 years or every 3 to 5 years, they will allow you to sublet your apartment for like a year or two. And so you can't really buy I can say 1% of a co-op allows unlimited subletting. And so you can have a board turn down, and they don't have to tell you why they've turned you down. They can't turn you down because of your race, your color, your sexual, orientation, but they can turn you down if you're a pedophile, if you've been arrested, if you're a drug addict, if you have bad credit is the biggest killer because it's bills.
Yeah. So in working with buyers, I would assume that you're having to educate them on kind of these, how this whole market works, like a co-op. Do most people have a general understanding, or do you find that you have to really kind of serve as the expert in those things?
I don't really I really believe you need to keep it as short as possible so you don't confuse people. And I just will tell you that a lot of these younger brokers, they don't know how to do a co-op because they don't understand the intricacies of a co-op and a co-op purchase. And a co-op, they can just do condos because there's no problem there. You have to get a very specific finite board package. You have to show all the financials the person has. You have to get letters of reference. You have to show their last 2 years' tax returns. Everything has to be there. The biggest thing is the financial, because co-op, if the person winds up becoming evicted, for lack of any other word, then the co-op owns the apartment, and they don't want to become a realtor, and they don't want to sell it. You know what I'm saying? So when someone comes, I'll say to them, look, these are let me explain to you. You have to qualify. This building wants you to put down 30%. While in a condo, you only have to put down 10%. So are you comfortable putting down that much? This building does not permit subletting. Are you comfortable with that? So you have to give people the rules in advance. And they say this piece, and then they have to say, well, that's not what I want. It's sort of like when I say to someone, I want to get an apartment. Well, where do you want to get an apartment? I don't know, anywhere. What kind of an apartment? I'm not sure. What's your budget? And then I say to them like this: buying an apartment is like buying a car. You want an American car? You want a foreign car? You want a luxury car? You want a middle of the road car? You want an SUV? You want a sedan? You want a sports car? So now tell me, what would you like? But I make that example. I'm not running around the entire city and then letting someone say, well, I don't want to live here. I don't want to live there. Everybody has an idea of where they want to live. You know what I tell some people who are new to the game? I'll tell them, it's a nice weekend. Go to pick a neighborhood that you think you may want to live in. Walk around the neighborhood. See what you think of the neighborhood. And if you pass buildings and you see a building you think you like, walk into the lobby. See if you like the lobby. Because I tell people, if you're not going to like the facade and you're not going to like the building, you're not going to like the lobby, then don't bother, because you're going to have to go through that every day before you go to your apartment. Package go.
And how do prices vary between co-ops and condos? I mean, are they similarly priced?
Condos are about 10 to 15% more, depending on the building.
Okay.
And then new construction is even more money.
Yeah, sure.
And everything that's been built in the last 20 odd years, 25 years, only condos, no co-ops. I believe that was to satisfy the influx of all the European buyers, because they could never pass a co-op.
Right.
Unless they
do you think co-ops are going away?
Not at all.
Okay.
I personally would only live in a co-op.
Huh.
I don't want to live in a building. I don't want to live in a building that's investor friendly, and all I have is a bunch of rental neighbors around me.
That's true. Right. Right. Changes the whole makeup of the building.
Yeah, listen, half of the building I live in, we don't lock our door.
Wow. That's amazing.
We have a really nice holiday party every December. We have a party on the roof in July. Like I said to you, I had dinner last week. Yeah, with 3 of the other gals in the building. You can't do that in a building with a bunch of renters.
Yeah.
Here today, gone tomorrow.
Right.
So there's a big difference. There really is. And you have to a lot of people are afraid of a co-op because they're afraid of the rules, or they're afraid they'll be, when they go to sell their apartment, the person will be turned down. And I tell them, don't be afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of as long as you follow everything, just like you're coming into it.
Right. Right. That would be like in our market, kind of not exactly the same, but we ask buyers, do you want to be in a community with a homeowners association, where they're dictating rules of the way your home can look, what improvements you can make to it, what color front door you can have,
what you can plant in the front. Absolutely. How do people react where you are with that?
I mean, there's definitely pros and cons. I mean, similarly, if you want to be in a community where maybe you don't want your neighbors to have chickens running all around their property. Well, in another part of town where there's no HOA, that could be your situation. So you have to sort of evaluate the trade-offs. And sometimes the rules and regulations are not that strict. And so we can review the covenants and conditions and they go, oh, okay, well, that seems reasonable.
Yeah. I think people have a fear until somebody explains everything to them.
Yeah, exactly. And so we just sort of peel the layers of the onion and keep asking questions to sort of, deduce what it is that they're actually looking for and what's going to best meet their needs.
In this business, and I'm sure you'll agree, there are realtors and there are realtors. There are realtors that are very professional and very honest, and there are realtors that are very dishonest.
Of course.
And I just someone referred me to to meet with someone who wants to sell their apartment. So I spent time with the gentleman, and I'm dead honest. I said to him, this is what I think it's worth. If you feel differently, we could try a different price. And I walk in and I say, I make comments about certain things. I never say anything super negative because everybody thinks they own a palace. Would you agree?
Yep.
So we went back and forth. He said, I really like meeting you. You're very nice. And, the different positive things. And then he writes back and he says, well, I'm going to use another broker because they've sold numerous apartments in the building and they know the building. So I said, you know what, let me go on one of we don't have an MLS in New York. So let me go on one of the listing services and let me see who sold in the building. There is not a broker that has sold more than one apartment there. So I sent him listen, I don't really care. The apartment's not very expensive. It's in horrible condition and there's a huge assessment going on. So I wrote it so I could care less. I have an expression at this stage. I'm on cruise control. I am.
That's great.
So I wrote him back a note and I said, I decided to follow up and I checked all the listings in your building. And I said, to be honest, there isn't one broker that sold more than one apartment in your building. So, and then I wrote in quotes, I said, honesty is the best policy.
Wow. I love it.
I don't care, but don't be a liar.
Did he respond?
He says, I'm going to check into it.
Yep. You're just communicating truth and facts.
Yeah, that's all.
That's our responsibility.
So, if somebody is that desperate and wants this pathetic apartment that's not going to be easy to sell, be my guest. It's not even
exactly.
A lot of money involved here. We're not talking about a lot of money.
Wow. So, Rebecca, I'm curious, you've been a successful woman in what has been a pretty competitive male-dominated industry.
What?
I'm curious, Why
do you say it's male-dominated? Because it was never male-dominated when I got into this business. It was basically...
You told us it was male-dominated.
It was not male-dominated. I never did. I couldn't.
That's the prompt you gave us. I don't believe that. I don't see it that way, but it certainly is. It's competitive for sure.
Oh,
so I'm curious what challenges you faced. How did you overcome them?
You know what? As I said to you, I decided to make my building and I just worked really hard at it. And I told you, I don't beat myself up. I just pull my pants up, put my shoes on and start all over again. And if you are who you are and you're a good person and you do a good job and you're honest, I think it comes back to you. And if it's not, maybe it's just not the business for you. Not everybody's suited for this business. I mean, everybody gets their license, but as I said, there have been good years and there have been bad years. And I think you asked me before about COVID years. I mean, the world shut down on March the 20th, I believe. We didn't go. I don't remember going back to work until at least July, and it was because everybody had to sign a form saying that they didn't have COVID before you could show them an apartment, and you wore a mask. But the forms, I had a folder of forms, and what was the other thing? Those are the two major things. And also, I refused to shake anybody's hand, and I still won't shake anybody's hand. I just do an elbow, and if they're upset, I just say, it's because of COVID. I've been safe so far. So it was tough, but and it took a while. But 2021 was a great year.
Yep.
2020 was a good year until the world dropped dead.
Yep.
And it was like that for you, for everybody.
That's right.
You just had to keep on going. You had to pray you were going to stay alive.
Whew.
Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, Corey and I, we're in Western North Carolina. We just endured Hurricane Helene that came through our area in the fall, and we're still recovering. And I mean, it's going to be years, and it's not even clear like what the direct impact is on the real estate market. But like you kind of just take one day at a time. We get up, we do our work. We, what else can you do?
What you be I forget who said this, but you be the best you can be.
Absolutely.
Do any more than that. And if you're honest and you work hard, it comes back to you.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So Rebecca, what advice would you give a woman looking to build long-term success in this business? What's your best advice?
It's a funny thing, but there's a gal who works for one of my doctors, and we're just kind of a little friendly, but she had said something about wanting to get into real estate, and I said to her I wouldn't do it. I was telling her why I'd wait, and then the last time I spoke to her, I said to her I really think this is a good time to get into it because things have really started to come back. 2024 was a bad year, and psychologically it does a number on people's head. You know what? Sometimes if you work for a big firm, I think it's good if you can go work on a team because you're going to learn the business. There was no such thing as a team when I started in this business.
Mm.
And, who heard of business? Everybody was a sole practitioner. So, but, if you're starting out, that might be a way. It's not the most fun way, but you'll learn a lot about the business when you're watching more experienced brokers do things, and you'll be responsible. And if they have a lot of business, you'll be doing the open houses. Years ago, I used to get people to do open houses with me. So I'd say, keep all the customers. I didn't pay them. Just keep the customers.
Mm-hmm.
Feel for it. So what would I tell people? Get your license. Learn as much as you can about your business. And I also tell people, I tell this to people in my office, pick an area that you want to focus on. And pick a building. And in your case, pick an HOA. And, send out postcards. Make people aware of who you are. You got to start somewhere. So, listen, in this business, this is what I say. This is how people get their business. They have kids in private school, so the mommies talk to the other mommies. They have a husband that's very successful, and he can refer business to them from other people he does business with.
Mm-hmm.
The man are born. And those are the three, to me, those are the three. Oh, and or if you were in another business and you came with a Rolodex, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those are the easiest ways to get into the business, but not everybody has that entry.
Right.
So you have to make a name for yourself. For some people, it's join organizations, go to a church, but let people
build community somewhere.
Yeah, let people get to know who you are personally.
That's right.
I heard that in your talk, Rebecca, and as we're wrapping up here, that, you picked your building and you started showing up at places, you started doing events. And that's exactly what Kristen and I have done in our own neighborhoods because of the proximity is incredible. We've done chili cook-offs, we've done ice cream socials with school supplies, like all sorts of things. And then people get to know us and then either A, refer you out to a friend or family member, or B, they want to sell or purchase something. And we've both seen that come to fruition. It took about 6 months, I think, for both of us to see that happen.
But so I think we're all on the same page that the personal approach works for us. I'm not saying it works for everybody.
Right.
That's why a lot of people will join teams and they'll be able to, the other thing we have in New York, which I don't do, is Street Easy, which is like our MLS, unfortunately. And you can become a Street Easy expert and they put your name on a listing. So when they're looking at the listing, they don't get my information. They get his information.
Yeah.
But Street Easy back 30% of the list of the commission. And there's no guarantee that they're going to wind up, getting somewhere with this. But this is what a lot of people do because they don't know how to get business.
It's like Zillow. That's what our version of Street Easy is. Zillow.
In fact, I think Zillow owns Street Easy.
Yeah, they probably do.
But I don't personally, I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I think all three of us are on the same page.
For sure.
Yeah, you want to learn to fish, right? What's the saying? You want to learn to fish and not be fed a feed. There's a saying.
Well, teach a man to fish and blah, 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 Like you can feed him a fish or you can teach him to fish.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. But listen, a lot of people don't make it in this business. And you know what? They can have a license, but if they don't do a deal in 6 months to a year, they're out unless somebody else is paying their bills.
Well, it's just incredible. I mean, I think we've all seen the stat that like 74% of realtors didn't sell a house last year. And I know 2024 was a really difficult year, but that is just astounding to me. And we know it's a crowded market in terms of, we joke, you throw a rock, you're going to hit a realtor. It's like there's so many of us, but clearly there's a separation in terms of the ones who are kind of doing the work, are invested in building their sphere and building those relationships, and they're going to get the business.
Look, I think I did maybe 3 or 4 deals last year, which is unheard of for me. I'll do like 12 deals a year or something, whatever. Yeah. But it is what it is. I can't change what's going on in the world.
Exactly. We don't control the market. We don't control the environmental and economic variables, but we can do what we know to do and inform, educate, guide. Yes. That's our job.
And I will say one more thing. Everybody should have a little nest egg when they start it. Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble.
Absolutely.
100%.
We tell new agents that all the time. Make sure you have a margin, some buffer. Like you need to make sure you've got that. This is an unpredictable business.
Yeah, that's very important. I was working with another agent when I started, 28 years ago, whatever it is, 27 years ago. And she was terrific. She had been a legal secretary at a law firm and she was really terrific, but she overspent. She had a cell phone. I was using a pay phone. After 6 or 8 months, she had to get out because she didn't have the money to keep on going. She could have been very successful, but she didn't have a nest egg.
Yeah, it's so true. And we find, that we've benefited from more seasoned professionals, mentors, coaches who, whether we're paying for them or not, have come alongside to kind of help guide us. Is that anything that you have done? Do you do any formal mentoring or helping newer agents?
No, I don't have, that's not the case at Compass. A lot of these agents, and Compass is not going to take someone unless they have some experience because they don't want to take somebody who's green and have to train them through and through. That's where Compass is at. But, like the guy I'm friendly with, and I said to him, he said to me, I get all my buyers, because I only work with buyers, I get them from Street Easy. So I said, why don't you pick a building that you know and you like? I said, go in and talk to the doorman. I said, tell him there's something in it for you if you get me a customer. You give them 10%. You pay a doorman, they'll give you business. The doorman I visit my building know not to tell anybody anything. Not that they're giving me anything. I used to get business sometimes, but the point is that if I'm friendly with somebody, I'll make some suggestions. That's all I'll do.
Yeah. And that's great. And that can be really helpful just to get them pointed in the right direction.
I don't have an assistant. This isn't a problem for me. Like if you live in one of these HOAs where you do a lot of business, taking somebody on is not good because it could kill your business. So if I took in an assistant, This is my business. When I live in this building for 36 years. The first thing I tell people is this is a terrific building. How do I know? I've lived here for 36 years.
Yeah.
You can't imagine how impressed people are by that longevity.
Right. Exactly.
So to take someone in who doesn't live in the building or hasn't lived here very long is a waste of my time. It's not impressive. I know the building like nobody knows this building.
Mm-hmm.
Other buildings, don't get me wrong, but this has been my primary bread and butter, and I'll tell you the truth. I like going up and down the elevator, not having to put a coat on.
That's so great. I love it.
That's awesome. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for your time, especially in your busy schedule. And we just really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll stay in touch.
Yes, if there's anything else you want to know, feel free to ask.
Thank you.
Great.
Have a great day, guys, and make a lot of money this year.
All right. You too.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Momentum in Real Estate. We hope you found valuable insights and strategies to propel your real estate journey forward.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates with you. Remember, success in real estate is about continuous learning, growth, and serving others. Keep that momentum going and watch your business thrive.
Until next time, keep pushing forward and bringing your real estate dreams to life.
This is Corey Wall
And Kristen James signing off from Momentum in Real Estate.